So today's learning intention is applying the rules of logarithms. Our essential skills are again working with powers and indices. So there are 3 rules of logarithms. Okay, and these rules, are used to simplify expressions and to then solve logarithmic equations. Okay, so a bit like the rules of indices, the laws of indices. So rule 1, log x to the base a plus log y to the base a equals log of xy to the base a. So what that means is if you're working with 2 expressions, 2 logs, and they have the same base, so in this case it's a number a, then if you're adding 2 logs together, then what we can do is multiply x and y together to simplify it. So we can bash them together and evaluate xy first as the log of xy. So we're multiplying the 2 terms together. Rule 2, if log x minus log y, both to the base a, that will equal log of x divided by y to the base a. So again, you've got 2 log functions, you want to subtract them. That's going to be the same as just taking the 2 terms, x and y terms, and dividing. Again, a little bit like rules of indices. So rule 3, log x to the power n, sorry, that plus shouldn't be there, to the base a, that is the same as n times log x to the base a. So we pull down the power and put it at the front and multiply. So log x to the power n to the base a equals n times log x to the base a. And you must memorise all these logs. They're not given in any of the exams on your formula sheet. It's something you'll get to know as you're moving along. So these laws are used to simplify expressions to solve logarithmic equations. So let's practice this then. So here's 4 examples, and we're going to go through them step by step. You have these in your notes, and you can add on to your notes as we're going. So just now we're only learning to simplify. We're using the 3 rules of logs to simplify these expressions. We're not getting so far. Sometimes we can evaluate, sometimes we can just simplify. So let's have a look at this. Example 1. So example 1, simplify log 2 to the base 8 plus log 4 to the base 8. So we've got 2 expressions of logs. They're in the same base. We're going to add them together. So rule 1 said that that's just the same as saying log 2 times 4 to the base 8. So keep simplifying. 2 times 4 is 8. So that gives me log 8 to the base 8. And 8 to the power of what equals 8? Well, 8 to the power of 1 equals 8. So log 8 to the base 8 equals 1. And that's a wee reminder for us how that happened. Right, example 2, simplify log 100 to the base 5, subtract log 4 to the base 5. Now I can't evaluate log 100 to the base 5, 5 to the power of what equals 100 doesn't work, and I can't evaluate log 4 to the base 5, because 5 to the power of what, nothing, I can't figure out something, 5 to the power of what equals 4 doesn't work. So I'm going to simplify it first. So rule 2 says that that's just the same as saying log of 100 divided by 4 to the base 5. Now I can work out 100 divided by 4 is 25. So I've got log 25 to the base 5. And I can work that one out as well because 5 squared is 25, so the answer must be 2. Okay, so log 25 to the base 5 equals 2 because 5 squared equals 25. Right, example 3. Now it's getting a bit more complicated. I'm adding and subtracting, but I take it step by step. So simplify log 10 to the base 5 plus log 50 to the base 5, subtract log 4 to the base 5. Now they're all the same bases, so I can use my rules of logs. So let's take the first 2 terms, I'm going to add them together. So I'm adding them together, I'm going to get 10 times 5. And subtract the 4, I'm dividing by the 4. So in one big step here, I've got log 50 divided by 4. And that gives me 500 divided by 4, I thought it was going to work. 10 times 50 is 500 divided by 4 is 125. So I have now got, well, to work that one out, 5 to the power of what equals 125. So 5 squared is 25, and 25 times 5 is 125. So I've got 3. So log 125 to the base 5 must equal 3 because 5 cubed, 5 to the power 3 equals 125. Right, last one now, example 4. Simplify 2 times log 4 to the base 4. Subtract 3 times log 2 to the base 4. Now rule 3, okay, was working with powers. Right, let's have a look at that one. We have got, we can change then, bring the 2 up and make it a power. So 2 log 4 to the base 4 becomes log 4 squared to the base 4. So the 2 comes up and becomes a power. Subtract, the 3 comes out to become a power 2, so we subtract log 2 cubed to the base 4. And I can evaluate these easily. So that gives me 4 squared 16, so that gives me log 16 to the base 4. Subtract log 8 to the base 4, so I'm going to divide. Okay, I've got 2 terms I'm going to be dividing, so really I'm doing 4 squared divided by 2 cubed, which is 16 divided by 8. And 16 divided by 8 is just 2, and that gives me a half. Okay, so log 2 to the base 4 equals a half, because 4 to the power of a half is the square root of 4, which equals 2. Right, take a moment, because there were some steps missed out there. Okay, we're quite happy 4 squared equals 16, 2 cubed equals 8, and rule 2 said if I'm subtracting 2 logs, then I can take the terms and just divide. Right, take a moment, make sure you understand that, because it's now your turn to do some on your own. Right, try these on your own, simplify and evaluate if you can. So you're going to pause me, have a think, look back over your notes and try your best to get to the end of these 4 examples. When you're ready, come back and check your answers. Right, that's your answers unveiled. Right, take a moment, read through it. Make sure you understand it. If you don't understand anything, or you see a mistake actually, then talk to your teacher as soon as you can. We'll try and figure it out together. Pause if you want to go over this in detail, otherwise I'm moving on. Right, so self-assess your progress. How did you get on today? Red, amber or green? Remember, if you're red and you're really not coping, you need to speak to somebody as soon as you can. Amber, why not try some more questions? Page 296 in your textbook, exercise 15F. Try just question 1, just to boost your confidence. Okay, it won't harm you either if you're on green and you think you're brilliant. Let's try some harder ones out your textbook. You'll also do some harder ones in class. So what have we learned today? Well, you've learned how to evaluate logarithm functions using our rules of logs. Rule 1. Okay, if you've got 2 logs with the same base, you want to add them together, you can take the 2 terms and multiply them to simplify it. Sometimes you can't evaluate each term individually, but when you multiply x and y together, it suddenly becomes simpler to evaluate. Same for rule 2, log x to the base a minus log y to the base a equals log of x divided by y to the base a. Again, that sometimes helps you evaluate. You couldn't evaluate the 2 logs independently and subtract them. However, if you divide x and y, it simplifies things. And rule 3, log x to the power n to the base a, a bit of a mouthful, equals n times log x to the base a. Again, apologies on that slide for that positive sign being there. Just ignore it, scrub it out in your notes.